So I made a few notes on my phone here. Some things I thought you'd be interested in to kind of do a wrap up of the season and just sort of give you the details on, what it looked like overall and things I thought you'd be interested in. So the first thing is that something that I'm proud of and I've worked on, and I'm really proud of my hunters for their efforts in this, and that is out of the 14 bears that we shot, 13 of them were boars. So 13 males. That's really, really good. It's very good for conservation. It's good for the number of tags that the DNR is willing to give out. They always tell us that we're shooting too many sows is one of the reasons why that there's not very many tags available, and it takes a long time to draw a tag. So I'm really trying to do my part in shooting more boars, and my hunters this year certainly took part in that. So 13 out of the 14 were males, which is really tremendous. We had 17 sows on the baits. I think sometimes it's pretty difficult to get a full count on them, but I went through and I think that was true with 17 sows with cubs on the baits this year, and out of those 13 of them had 3 cubs and one of them had 4 cubs. So that means there's only 3 left that had 2 cubs, which most people think of the bears having 2 cubs every other year, but in Minnesota they're telling me that's 2.7, and it's actually been going up, and my experience this year would indicate that it's gone up quite a bit. And having a bear with 4 and then all those bears with 3, it just means the bears are reproducing really fast, and the bear population is very high. I think in the 25 or so years that I have been doing this, I think the bear population is the highest it's been, and I feel like we need more tags. I think we can give out more tags. The DNR should be increasing the number of tags available because the reproduction is so high and the bear population is so high, and it affects a lot of things. The deer population is really low in some of the northern forested areas of Minnesota, and the wolves get a lot of blame for that, and certainly the wolves are taking their toll in many areas. But a very high bear population is also partially to blame. I really think that one of the reasons why the deer population is down in many areas is because the high percentage of the fawns that are getting killed by predators. There's a ton of teeth in the woods right now. Bobcats get some. There's more mountain lions in Minnesota all the time. The bears are getting a lot. Wolves are getting a lot. Deer to humans are more than just food for predators. They're food for humans and recreation, and the money that comes from deer hunting is extremely valuable to conservation. So it's just another reason why we need to be harvesting more bears to reduce the predation on the fawns. One of the great advantages of having so many bears on the baits this year is that I now have probably 120 to 150 bears that were on my baits this year that know where those baits are for the future, and they'll keep checking back. For the hunters that will be hunting with me in the future, boy, it's just a really, really good time to be a bear hunter right now, and it should be pretty exciting to see what happens over the next few years, because what happened this year, let's just face it, it was really, really good for business. There's no other way to put it. So if you've watched this channel very much and understand my strategies for how I bait the bears, then you know that one of my fundamental cornerstones is not to let the bears run out of bait. It's just never a good idea to cut back on bait or get yourself in a situation where bears are coming to your bait and not finding something good to eat. We want them to be rewarded every time they come to the bait. Well, this year that was just flat out impossible. We kept pouring the bait to them, and it was disappearing as fast or faster than we could get it out there. I added second barrels to some of the baits. There's some of these places where I put 30 gallons of bait out, filled up a barrel in the morning, and it was gone by the middle of the afternoon, so there wasn't even any bait there when bears came in the evening or the night. You just couldn't get yourself in a situation where you could feed them enough that they wouldn't run out. And we got away with it. In fact, there was a point where I would consider substandard bait, where I got 12 barrels of these red peanuts that the bears just didn't like them very well. In fact, at first they didn't eat them, they just pulled them out of the barrel and ate everything that was mixed in with them. But eventually they started eating the red peanuts, and they were fine with them. But in a year when there's a lot of natural food and the bears are hard to keep on the bait, so I'd have never got away with that. So it's just something that I learned from this. So I actually spent a total of $8,600 in bait, and I had bought some super sacks to start with, several super sacks of 1,800 to 2,000 pounds, and then as I ran out, I kept buying barrels, and I got them from anybody that would have barrels of trail mix. I'd send one of my guides, or I'd go get them myself, and we just kept buying what was available, and mixed nuts and everything we could get our hands on. We ended up spending $8,600 on bait. Now, that certainly cut into my profit, but I'm telling you that it's worth it somewhat for the reasons that I've described earlier, as far as what it's done for the future, but also everybody saw multiple bears. Everyone had a chance to shoot bears, and everybody did shoot bears. And that's a record that I'm very proud of, and I'm going to try to keep it up as long as I can. So far, everyone who's ever been to my bear camp has had an opportunity to shoot a bear, and I don't think there's many outfitters that can say that. So I'm willing to spend the money to provide that kind of a quality hunt. I'm going to keep tweaking my barrel strategy. Barrels are an important part of how I hunt, and it protects the bait from the weather. We had great weather all year. This year it wouldn't have been really necessary this particular year. Barrels also limit the amount of bait that bears can get at a time. So the barrels were a good thing in a year where the bears were just gobbling it up. And you can use barrels somewhat to meter the amount of bait by using the small hole. And like the second barrel that I put on some of these baits had just a small hole, so they really had to work at it, and that helped. But when the bait would run out, they just tear the barrel off the tree, and they're twisting them up and trying to climb in them and making all kinds of commotion, tearing the lids off. Basically out of bands that hold the lids on, because they bit them all off and broke them all, and they're pretty much all gone. I don't think I have any left. I had one barrel that the bears took the lid off. I never did find the lid. I made circles around and around and around the bait, and I just never found the lid. I don't know where they took it. So I'm really glad you enjoyed this vlog. I got a lot of positive comments, and I'm really grateful that you watched it and that you're a subscriber. And I booked up for 2025 and 2026 with people that have sent in deposits, and 2027 is about half booked with people that have sent in deposits already. So if you're planning to hunt with me and you're planning to draw a tag in the next few years, you better get a deposit in, or you're not going to have a spot. I did add a semi-guided option for 2025, where I will just provide you with 2 active baits, and that's a discounted cost for that hunt, and that's a way that I can put more people on bears, I guess, without offering the fully guided experience. And I really don't want this thing to take over my life. I love doing it, but I've got other things that I do that are valuable to me and important, and this is a part-time thing for me. So having 6 hunters a week for 2 weeks is a really good number for me, and that's what I'm really hoping to be able to continue to do into the future. I just don't want it to get too big. I want to be able to provide a really high quality experience for everyone that hunts with me. So thank you very much for watching the vlog, and I'm surprised it turned into 12 of them, but there's just a lot of information that was coming across this year, and I really enjoyed doing them. It's a lot of extra work to get all this video, but I had good help, and especially Virgil that ran the camera for me a lot this year. Going to continue to do it, I guess, as long as people enjoy watching them. So we'll see you on the next video.